Okay, good afternoon or good morning, depends on what time you're watching this, but welcome back. Now, as you're aware of, everything is going to be online, so I'm going to be taking advantage of recordings, so you guys can actually either follow or you could actually watch and listen. So I'm going to go through exploring architectural packages. Now, we touched on this a little bit in, I think it was semester 3 last year before the exam. And yes, we are going to go through another exam for term 1 in relation to architectural packages. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through this with you now. So with architectural packages, we pretty much know a majority on that list. So we are aware that there's going to be floor plans, or sometimes you can actually call it wall set-out plans. It depends on, I guess, the detail of the package that you're asking for. There's also site plans, elevations, sectional elevation plans, which might be a little bit new to us, roof plans, which again might be new to us, electrical and plumbing plan, landscape plans, window and door schedules, okay, which is actually a list of windows and doors and their sizes that go into the building itself, and 3D CAD model, okay. This can also be in the form of a physical model that you can actually turn around, see, touch, feel, which is actually something that a lot of people do these days. Okay, so the most common package that you'll find out there is actually the following. So you're looking at floor plans, site plans, north, east, south, west elevations, sectional elevations, landscape plans, and of course your models. So the most common package for builders, and these are really important because they actually provide them with a lot of information that's necessary to create or build the building. And engineers and trades will need to use them in order to set out certain plumbing or electrical requirements, are essentially floor plans, site plans, elevations, roof plans, electrical and plumbing plans, landscape plans, window and door schedules, and of course the prime cost list, which is classified as a PC list. Now we'll go into detail on what these are shortly. So with floor plans, we are aware that floor plans identify the internal key areas and features of the house and building. It usually has measurements of all the internal wall sizes and openings. This is usually created by the architect after consulting with clients. Floor plans must adhere to, and we know this, AS 1100 standards, and we know that this is a form of unified, okay, standards that are easy for us to identify and read, and more importantly, communicate. So, site plans or surveying plans, okay? They're actually created by a surveyor. Now, they're designed to define the overall boundaries of the land itself. These may also include levels that are evident on the land. So, for instance, a hill, a slope, especially a really steep slope, like what you'd find in the Gap, okay? Or what you'd find in Highgate Hill. So, I guess if the land is slope or has peaks and valleys that need to be known prior to the development, this is where the site plan actually may consist of the land location indicators and proposed building locations for development. Now, these drawings are used by architects, landscape architects, urban planners, and engineers. All surveyor plans must adhere to AS 1100 standards. So what you'll see here is actually an existing site plan. And this is actually a beautiful plot that my sister is actually building on all the way in the tropical islands of Palawan. So as you can see here, anything that might have or indicate, let's just say a bit of a circular indication there, that is actually level and also the height. So essentially, you will find that these are peaks, valleys, and troughs. Now, if you see a little bit of a influx of lines, you'll probably find that that is classified more so as a valley. And then here, you've got the slopes. You've got slopes, and this is your peak, okay? Just keeping it basic. Now, do you notice we've got here a scale, a north indicator, the scale of the actual building, I mean, not the building, the land, okay, the name of the project or the page, the designer, the project title, the person who is actually getting this all done, and of course, which you can't see at the moment, and I'm blocking it unfortunately, it's going to be the sheet size, indicators, and of course who's checked it, etc. Now, this here is the proposed site development plan. Now, this is also another indicator of a site plan, but it just shows where the proposed building is going to be set out on that land. Okay, so we are very familiar with this. This is called the northeast southwest elevation, and also a sectional elevation. Now, we're not familiar with sectional. We've actually looked at just the south, north, east, west elevations last year, but we're touching on sectional views. These are very important. Now, as we know, with sectional views in, I guess, products, it actually shows the internal details, like what we did with the coupling link. Now, you will see that it's actually cutting it in half, and you're physically seeing the internal flow of the property. So elevations are defined as a two-dimensional drawing or render that shows the front, back, or side view of something. So in respect to a building, it is referring to whatever structure is being designed, and in our case, it's generally the exterior of a house or building. The sectional elevation shows a cross-section view of the interior of the building, as you can see there. Now, roof plans. This is super important because every roof has a different design. Now, there's standardized roof out there, and we have pretty much looked at, I guess, different pitch, heights, and sizes. So with a roof plan, it's also a scaled-down drawing or diagram of a proposed roof development containing dimensions of the entire roof structure, including the shape, size, design, and placement of all materials, ventilation, drainage, slopes, valleys, and pitch. Your roofing contractor will need to survey the roof of your property in order to estimate what work needs to be done and what materials will be used. Okay, so as you can see here, the arrows are indicative of the slope. You can see where the actual roof pitch is situated, okay, and its highest point. You can see the valleys as well. And with this, you can see the overall shape. So what sort of roof are we looking at here? Now, I'm hoping that you'll pause and write that down. So what we're looking at is actually a hipped roof, okay? Now, electrical and plumbing plans. Now, if you are looking at being a plumber or a future electrician, these plans are very necessary. They're actually designed to be utilized by trades, electricians and plumbers, to look at the final fit-offs and the rough ends and also the prime cost list. So essentially, it's where the prime cost list, which are your appliances, the things that actually fit into or are roughed into the property for daily use that cannot be removed unless you are a tradesperson, sinks, appliances, range hoods, taps, toilets, all those things, they need to be figured out, okay, in order to determine the plumbing locations and how far the electricity is going to go, where the electrical box is going to be, and how much wire is going to be used. How about user friendliness? Do you think that's a very important feature? I think so. Okay, so gardening enthusiasts would love to read landscape plans. Landscape plans create a visual representation of a site using scale dimensions. So these include natural elements like flowers. So maybe flowers would be located around here, trees, lawns, lawn fixtures, or any sort of fixture like a fountain, perhaps, furniture, and other things like maybe a shed. So landscape designs may also include overlays for irrigation and lighting. So these plans must adhere to AS 1100 standards. See, I love this landscape plan because it actually shows pictures of the proposed plants that will go into this garden. And funny enough, a lot of these plants are actually in my garden too. So I love agaves. I've actually got lily pillies as well. I do have xanadus. I have a lot of alcantarillas and yeah, you name it, and frangipanis. So this is quite a lovely designed landscape plan. Okay, so this is something that we're going to be looking at, especially in this particular coming assessment task for our project of our redesign. So we're going to be creating 3D models, either both CAD and also physically created models. Now, these are super important. A lot of people look at it and think, oh, it's an afterthought, but in reality, most people can't visualize a two-dimensional plan. It is actually a really difficult task to do, especially if you're not very well versed in AS 1100 standards. And most people aren't. They wouldn't even know it, okay? Unless they are you guys, who are very, very well informed. Now, you will find this an easier way to read and understand because this is actually a scaled down version of what you are creating, okay? So you will find many people either use laser cutting, okay, or 3D printing, or a 3D CAD model with a walkthrough to create their 3D models, okay? So we've gone through a fair bit of content knowledge on an architectural package, and this is kind of a bit of a touch on what you are going to be expected to do for your exam in, I think it's about 3 weeks, since we've lost about a week. So here we go.